Yes, yes, guys. So on today's episode, we have my right hand man. We have the head coach of the Level Up Academy. We have Jalil, and what we're going to discuss today is really, what held us back on our journeys from achieving, our dream physiques, our dream results, and getting to where we are today, and what we see on a day-to-day basis. From the guys that we work with. We've been doing this combined for I think 18, 19 years
Hmm.
or so. We've also we've helped easily 2,000 plus individuals. We've helped guys from every continent in the world. And there are some common patterns. Like one of the things that we sort of say to the guys is just we study all of the guys, and we sort of study the guys that get the best results, the guys that don't get the best results, the guys, on day to day that, reach out to us, ask us questions, but, never actually follow through and things. So, we're going to talk about that because, as humans, we're all built with goals, but 99% of people don't follow through and don't succeed. So by the end of this episode, you'll know what it takes to succeed and get your dream result. So, Jalil, dude, it is good to have you. Do you want to just tell the guys a little bit about yourself and about your background and everything in 30, 60 seconds?
Yeah, maybe not in that much time, but give me 20 minutes and I'll be able to do it.
Well, I suppose
But
what a better way is like, what do people need to know about you when it comes to getting results? Let's go there.
when it comes to getting results,
Yeah.
I'm someone who's lost, 110 pounds. I've now run marathons, high roxes. When it comes to getting results, and to be honest, and this is something that I think is key, is I think accountability. I think actually having the right support in place is key, regardless. I think a lot of men think that they don't need help, and they try and go it alone, and they keep repeating the same cycle every single year.
100%. And, for the guys that are, maybe not American and whatnot, and they don't use pounds, how much is 110 pounds in kilos
110
or
pounds
stone?
of kilos. I think it's around about 48, something
Mm,
around about something like that, 48, 50, something around about there.
and even for guys, what about clothes sizes?
Oh, so we're going from heaviest was 3XL. Now I'm in a large in most things. I am 6'3". Um, but I do also get medium in a couple of gym shirts. So yeah.
Love it. Absolutely class. And mate, what held you back? You've achieved something massive, but I'm sure there were, well, I know because I've coached you and things.
Yeah.
But what did hold you back?
I think honesty is huge. I
Mm,
think having someone who you can actually say sort of confide within is
mhm,
huge on a journey. I do also believe I thought I knew everything, especially because I was a coach myself as well. And I
mhm.
don't think that was the case. And I think that getting knowledge from someone who is more experienced than me was an absolute game changer.
And when you say honesty, what do you mean by that?
I think in a couple of ways, I think first things first is I thought obviously I can do it on my own, but if I could have, I would have done it already. I think I need to be honest in the fact that I couldn't do it alone. I think
Mm-hmm.
also honesty around sort of how my life was going and for someone to sort of be like, Jaleel, you actually need to do this. Otherwise, you're just going to end up in a really bad situation. Um, and I think a lot of men maybe don't even have maybe either other men in their corner who are willing to push them to that degree or be honest with them to that degree. And I think that's what then stops them from actually reaching that next level.
And when you say you kind of thought that you'd got it all figured out, but you realize if it hasn't, if I'm not there yet, then I haven't. What was that like for you? Like, how did you come to that realization
The realization of not
that you
of
hadn't got everything figured out, even though you thought you did?
I mean, the realization, I think it did take a few months for me to sort of click on and be like, it was me trying and me putting in the effort. And actually, I
Mm,
did see a little bit of success, but I'd repeated that cycle before where I'd had a little bit of
mm,
success and I hadn't then followed through further on it. when I joined the academy, I had already got down quite a bit of weight and I was on my route to finishing fat loss. And I remember saying to you at the time, I was like, I just want to make sure that this time I actually do it rather
Mm.
than letting it sort of spiral off.
Mm. And what made you reach out to the academy when you were, as a client?
Mm. To be honest, Ben, I always knew that I was going to have you as my coach.
Hmm.
Um, I think it was just a matter of time.
Hmm.
I'd always seen your content. I'd known of you from past, coaching, just in the coaching industry. And when it actually came to that moment where, as I said, I was like, okay, I'm going to change. You were top of the list for me to
Hmm.
go to.
100%. And like, for what changed? Like when we had that first chat, what automatically changed from day one?
I wasn't alone anymore.
Mm.
I think the fact that someone else was rooting for me and was basically making sure that I was going to get to where I needed to be. Someone who was in my corner rather than feeling like I was just trying to figure everything out by myself.
Mm. Yeah, dude, I love the word sure because, as we have meetings all the time and we know literally like we probably know what our clients' dogs are eating, so we do
Yeah, yeah,
we talk about and we get to know our clients and whatnot. But we say, from our side to guarantee success, you always need to be clear, confident, and certain.
yeah.
And like I think that's what you're saying there when you were saying sure. It's like someone that was just sure that you were getting there, you're just certain, because like I'm sure you can probably relate. Like, and probably we see guys with us all the time, every single day, where it's like they maybe do a bit of training and things, but they're not. If we said like, right, you've got to lose 10 kilos, they've got to lose 10 kilos. That's their target. We're like, right, how are you going to do it? Tell me, are you certain that? Are you certain in the sense of like last night we were talking about different barriers that can come up when you're traveling, when you're stressed, when you're feeling down, when you've got high pressure deals at work. Like, are you certain that you've got a plan that can sort of withhold all of that? And I think
Mm.
that's what was a big thing for you, mate. Is like when I sort of think about you, I just think that like I remember that call very well, and you were just like, I'm doing well, but there's a new standard, and I'm not sure how I can get there. I'm not
Yeah.
sure like what that looks like or what's so required. I might have a bit of an idea, but like I think that was probably one of the things is like I gave you the clarity and the certainty
It's
to go and do that.
that's what I was gonna say. It's the certainty and clarity.
Hmm.
And I think when you have that, there is no like you're going to get to where you want to be when you have that. It's the difference between trying to get to somewhere without using a Google Maps or Apple Maps. You're just going to keep going around in circles, even though you might make progress towards that goal, you might make a wrong turn.
Hmm.
The difference is when you have that clarity and certainty, you get into there as the fastest route possible.
Hmm. And what were some of the things you learned, like about like the result itself and achieving that, but also yourself when you made that step up?
That was possible of things I never thought I ever thought I would be capable of.
Hmm.
When I right now you train me to go do a marathon, high rocks, half marathon, photo shoot. Like when it came to like things like the marathon, I used to just watch people on YouTube do that and think to myself, "Oh, that's cool. That's like superhuman stuff where people can do things like that." And I learned that I'm capable of doing whatever I want to do. All
And
it's
you've helped loads of others because I remember getting you into running and like now I was like, what are you up to this morning? And like he's banging out a run. It was like pretty easy and just like and now you've helped hundreds of others and not only that, mate, like you've obviously helped loads of guys in the academy, but in your own private practice, you've helped guys lose big amount of weight and do marathons and stuff. It's
Yeah.
mental, like and like Jal, a lot of guys I remember you said about one of the things that you noticed was just being around sort of really driven guys, like
Mm.
from individuals that were sort of brand new but really eager to like change, all the way to like guys that would you would classify as elite athletes, with the level of performance and physique and standards that they had, and like they done it as a job and things. Like, what was that like for you, mate? When you were in that environment.
Oh, it's quality.
Mm-hmm.
And very inspiring.
Mm-hmm.
You when I joined the academy, there was guys in the academy, and there still is now, doing things like ultra marathons, um, running unbelievably fast, like 5Ks, marathons, all the things that I want to do, that because there were so many of them doing it. And you're part of that group, so it's sort of like you like subconsciously will push yourself to reach them levels that the others are at, because then it's possible, because there's right proof right in front of you. You're speaking to the proof when you're on group calls, when you're at events. So it's right in front of you. So there is no self-belief issue anymore.
100%. And like now you're helping the guys do that. You're helping the guys like,
Yeah.
achieve massive, massive results. Like I was like blown away when I went through the check-in of like Darren there. So that's someone that, is completely brand new to the gym, and you have got him in unreal shape in literally 2 months. Like he's looking strong, he's got abs, and he's got kids, he's in his 40s, like how do you do that?
I think I think first things first, I had to go through my own transformation to the next. Yes, I'd lost weight previously, but I had to go through the transformation of doing all I've done now and getting in absolutely just insane shape to be able to now do this with others, to understand it. How I done it with someone like that is, it's the support level, I believe, it is huge. Let's take in the case of, you mentioned, say, about Darren. I think, a lot of guys, we said we're living in a place where we're unsure of what we're doing, and just having that constant communication and open dialogue with a coach is gonna allow you to not ever feel like you've not got a question not answered, and then you're once again always sure. Anytime he was unsure and anything going on, it was okay, Darren, this is exactly what has to happen. And also letting him know sort of what we expect to,
Mm-hmm.
in regards to, okay, this is the weight we want you at this time. This is, actually setting some goals, some deadlines to create a level of urgency as well, I think is huge. I think one thing that we can get really lazy with is just like putting things off and be like, oh yeah, well, I'll get it done eventually. No, you want to get in shape immediately. Because
Mm-hmm.
from there, that's when you can then build.
100%. And like, you're covering a lot, on this sort of support aspect, which is
Mm,
absolutely needed to like, have that certainty, have that clarity, and have that, confidence. But there then comes an aspect, I suppose, just for the listeners that like there's technicality behind this, like as I said, me and Jal, we've been literally living this, studying this, breathing this for 19 years or so. And like every single exercise, there's a reason behind it. Like it's
mm,
built for your body, where you're at, and the prescription of how you perform that, how you go about that, it's done with things in mind. It's done with a scientific reason. There's like on one side there's science, there's one side there's real life, and then in the middle there's us, where we give you like the science. We've like Jalil studied all around the world. I've studied all around the world. Like, we are absolutely immersed in everything, all things training, nutrition, lifestyle optimization, and mindset, and human performance as a whole. So it's
mm,
like, you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes it takes for you to like go through an experience and be able to just, be led and go through it so that you can actually sort of unlock a new level. Because
mhm.
what you sort of said there, Giles, is like, what was holding you back is you done well, but it's like, it's kind of like a computer game. You
Yeah.
completed level one, but you couldn't complete level two.
Mhm. Need that next. So a lot of men think that they can, as I said, I've got the knowledge, I know exactly what I need to do, and well, if it was that case, once again, you'd then be in shape. But like when it comes to it, like, have you been able to sit down and read, I don't know, the Glute Lab book page to page on how to build, a good physique, how to build good legs, how to build, no, that because that's our role, that's what we've invested in, whether it be with with learning with coaches, etc. that's our job then to make that into one package where it's easy for you just to go and crack on.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Like we were chatting before, about like Jaleel going and studying like high level, expert level fat loss, where you're literally looking at a cellular level. How can we like manipulate all of your nutrients so that you can lose fat faster, more efficiently, better, smoother, around that, and
Mm.
it's mental. So it is. So yeah, Jaleel, like there's hundreds of guys that reach out to you all the time, and what would you say are some of the things that hold them back from possibly getting coaching, getting support? You've seen it's had such a big impact for you and things, and you obviously um, coach individuals every single day of the week. But what are some of the common things that hold guys back from making that step?
I think there's a few of them. I think the first one is normally saying, "Oh, I'm too busy at the minute," or waiting for the perfect time.
Hmm.
And I always say to the people that say when we're talking to them who are joining the academy and things is that, well, life's always going to be stressful.
Hmm.
You're always going to have things on. Work is always going to be crazy. Things don't change in all of a sudden and then you can just get in shape. The whole point of the academy is that we teach you the strategies of how to get in shape, regardless of how busy your life is. And don't get me wrong, you will go through phases of where maybe progress will be quicker, progress will be slower. But the whole point is that we're making that progress to get you in shape regardless, so you know how to get there and also then how to stay there too.
1,000,000%. And like, something that I say to a lot of the guys is like, it's not about finding more time. It's
Mm,
about being healthier and more effective with your time. And
yeah.
like, if you're struggling with time, it's actually, it's a personal systems issue. So
Mhm.
what we do here in the academy is we install high performance and systems that allow for you to get the great physique, but also as well perform well both in and out of the gym at your work and your life. And it's like, if you're struggling for time and energy, you don't know how you're going to be able to do it and whatnot. That's a sign that training systems are off. Like we get guys like there's Darren. Darren's in phenomenal shape in the last 2 months, brand new to training, in the gym and things, and in under 2% of his week, under 2% of his week, mental. And like if it's like the food, all these aspects, well, that's a sign. Like we chat around speedy meals, we make it effective. Like we were both laughing that we aren't chefs. We've hired a chef in,
Yeah.
to make it like more tasty and more variety for all of the guys and stuff. But we have speedy meals. We're both running, business and things like that. We are in a real growth phase. We absolutely, we're on it. And then lifestyle, like we don't just talk obviously to get like a world class result. There's the trade nutrition, but to be able to pull the trigger on that, it's all down to your time. It's down to your energy. It's down to your sleep. It's down to your lifestyle systems. And like there's there's guys in the academy and have been in the academy and things in the past and whatnot that like there's people telling me they're busy and they don't have kids, they don't have like a lot on. There's guys that come to us with like Elon Musk level schedules, like it's mad. And you know if you're thinking about time and if you're not happy with where you're at or you're just sort of coasting, you're gonna just reinforce crappy like standards for yourself. And 3 months down the line, do you want to be in a better position or a worse position?
Well, are you happy with that living this life for the rest of your life then if you feel like you're too busy? You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you know, write out like if you write out everything you do every single day, I'm sure you'll find gaps.
1,000,000%. A million
Right?
percent.
I said even we work with some of the busiest men that there ever could be, but they
Mm-hmm.
find they make the gaps, they create gaps.
Mm-hmm.
They, whether it means waking up earlier, whether it means getting in a session before they go to work, so they're creating it, they're finding it because it's important to them to make that change. One of the biggest things we see when we see our client audits is how much time they spend on their phone and their
Mm-hmm.
screen time. If you want to see if you've got enough time, go have a look on that on your phone and see how many hours that you could be spending doing things that are helping you actually progress.
Hmm. And like, there's solutions to everything. Like we put together micro sessions. This morning we're going back and forth with one of our individuals that's, offshore for 2 weeks and then onshore for 2 weeks. Like last night we were talking about airports and things for the guys that are going on frequent travel. Like there are strategies, and I suppose like don't talk yourself out of it, before you even give it a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, And like, Jal, you mentioned that like one of the things that really helped you was, investing in yourself and stuff.
Mm.
Do you want to just talk on that? Like, because that is something that'll hold a lot of guys back.
Yeah. It's like, when it comes to coaching, it's not you know, it's in a sort of it is for the average person, say quite a big investment, right? And it was for me, really big investment for me at the time. And for me, because of how important my transformation was going to be and how much I knew it was going to bring to my life, no matter what, I was always going to invest in my health. And I think a lot of men need to look at that in a better sort of in the sense of that. Let me actually use an example. So when it comes to joining the academy and things, obviously being not being able to afford it is a common thing that comes up. And I had a conversation once with one guy, and he said to me, he was like, his he doesn't want to eat. He's got the money. He can afford it, but he doesn't want to take away the life or the nice things he has to buy for his partner and for his children, etc. And that's a belief we've got to shift instantly because yes, he might be able to buy things or take them on experiences or do whatever, but from what we talked about, he was frustrated, not feeling his best. So his family were getting a lesser version of him. So all that investment that you could have made into yourself, making yourself the best sort of individual that is for you, your family.
Hmm.
It the no matter no for me, no amount of money would stop me from wanting to make that happen. I always say now, like, if I could go back, I'd probably pay you triple. Don't ask me for it, but but I would, because it completely changed my life and it was a million times worth the investment. The investment was just meant to be for me there in, what was it, 6 months, and I ended
Yeah.
up in the academy 2 years, and I'm working inside of the academy.
No, 100%. And like, there's firstly, I think a lot of people talk themselves out of it before they even sort of go and explore it. Because like, we put together a plan only option to make it easy and efficient for individuals. Then as well, like for us, we've got other options that range in the level of support that you need, and we've broken it down in the payment plans and all that to give it. So like, don't talk yourself out of, possibly doing that, because that's what a lot of guys like. They just see money and are, oh, and there's like, you've been helping Owen, and Owen's looking incredible. And, Owen shared in his chat, and I know that you've done this before where you've actually analyzed. This is like his was alcohol, yours is takeaways. Like, is like £1,600, £1,200 or something. And it's mental. Like, a coffee a day, where if you go for Greg's at lunch, like we're not even talking about, that's mental. And like the thing that, yeah, that I've invested, I've always got a coach in different areas of my life. But like the thing, I've got an iPhone here, right?
Yeah.
It's very normal for people to upgrade their iPhone every year. Why is it not normal for you to upgrade yourself, your health, your standards? Like, why is it not normal to do that? Why is it normal that like the average guy between 20 to 30, he gets 3 car upgrades? The
Mhm.
average guy between 20 and 30 puts on average in the UK 7.8 kilo. You know,
Yeah.
that is mental of body fat, and between 30 to 40, they see a 10% loss in muscle mass and 10% loss every single year, or 10% loss over that decade in testosterone, and like,
Mhm.
this is the prime of your life, when you're 20 to 40, it's the prime of your life, like the way you probably know yourself, Jal, like, at Christmas every single year. Like you notice people getting heavier, doing the same things and whatnot, getting unhealthier and things, and like something needs to change. And you would never let yourself, like your own house, erode. So why do you let you erode? You
Yeah.
know why? So it's yeah, it's definitely food for thought. So it is.
100%. You got to think how much, you mentioned Christmas there, how many people will spend thousands and thousands of pounds upon Christmas. Sometimes it's worth making, if it's such an issue, to make a sacrifice for the short term, for the long term gain of you being the best version of yourself. And it pays back tenfold. How many guys in the academy get promotions?
Yeah.
It feels like it's every other day that someone comes in and be like, I've just got a new role and work, I've just got this new job. Because when you're leveling up in your sort of health, your fitness, everything else follows. Your relationships level up, your career levels up, and it pays itself back, massively. And I think that that's one thing a lot of people say don't think about as well. But I always say there's always, if there's a will, there's a way. You'll always find a way to get things done if you really, really want to do something.
Hmm. And like Jal, you mentioned that about you sort of watched and you were always sort of thinking about, right, I want to work with Ben and things, but it took time to make that decision and make that leap.
Mhm.
What do you see, with that, with guys, what holds them back in the sense of like, they stay in maybe land or they stay on the sidelines for so long?
Well, I wish I had probably done it sooner.
Hmm.
Um, I think when guys hold themselves back on the sideline, I think it's more of a, do you know what it is? It's the fear of going all in.
Hmm.
And I think that a lot of guys are afraid of the fact of either I'm going to show that I'm a failure and I can't do something, even though everything is so simple, like right out in front of me. And I think
Hmm.
they're afraid of failing with that. But the
Hmm.
fact is then if you sort of look at the other end of the spectrum with that, if you are to jump into a coaching program, you know, if you listen to everything that me and Ben say, you're guaranteed to get a result. It is as simple, it is as simple and as black and white as that. Obviously, there's other things that go into it too, but I think you've got to just take that leap, and you've just got to have that faith in yourself that okay, well, I've got the support this time around, and I'm going to make it happen, regardless.
100%. And like, do you remember like back the start where I shared about 99% of people, like we all have goals, but only 1% sort of really get them and things. And like we've been sharing about, if you look around you, most years where most people getting heavier and unhealthier and stuff. And do you remember Daniel's analogy about the house fire
No, no.
at the event? So Daniel shared, if your family were in a house
Oh
fire,
yeah, I do remember it. Yeah.
yeah, that stuck with me. That stuck with me. So if your family were in a house fire, right, when would you go and get them? Would anything come in the way? Would time come in the way? Would you say later or whatnot? No. You would instantly go and do it. You would go and literally, no matter what is in your way, you would go and you would get your family out of that house, you know? So the point that he was raising that, Daniel was one of our academy clients and things, and he went on and he's a global sensation. He's really motivational. But the point that he was getting at was the level of urgency and necessity. And I think that's one of the things that you said about being sure. It's like all of a sudden, like when you have that urgency and it's a necessity, like I am gonna get in phenomenal shape. I must be the leader. I must be like in peak shape. I must do my best. Like you raised to that, it's not mock tomorrow, it's not later. And like, I call bluff on a lot of people in the sense, I don't know about you, Jal, but like, do you not know, see, a lot of people say one thing, but do a complete other. And I
Hmm.
think like, that necessity and that urgency, like, I suppose, mate, for you, like how do you see what needs to happen for people, to really take themselves seriously and to really take their physique and their goals and their training? Like what needs to happen to make that a necessity and urgency where,
I think you've just got to be aware, and if you're listening to this, that if you don't do that, pain is coming soon.
mm,
Something big is going to come into your life soon that is going to wake you up, and you're
Mm,
going to wish that you'd been in shape. You're going to wish that you were doing all that you could do. It could be anything. For me, just before I joined the academy, I had split with my partner. If I was being exactly who I wanted to be, the confident, driven, present version of myself, the best version of myself, I'd probably still be in that relationship. I would
mhm,
still, things would probably still be going well, whatever. And that dark time hit me because I wasn't living to that standard. And it might not be that. It might be something. It might be a house fire. Imagine, if you're not in shape and you're not being able to actually, look after the people closest to you. What if,
mhm,
you know, um, I think about this all the time when you see maybe videos or things of maybe people getting things stolen from them and then they can't even go and chase after it or they can't do anything, in that regards. Or, what if your child runs into the road and, you're not fit enough to go and chase after them, or you're not even sharp in yourself to be able to even stop things from happening or whatnot. Um,
mhm,
a dark time's going to come, and I think you've got to be way ahead of that.
mhm. And like, to add to that, even if a dark time hasn't hit you now, the heart attack at 52 starts at 30.
Yeah.
What you do today, it like you that has an effect on you in the future. What you eat, like every meal right now, I say this to the guys all the time, it's a short-term investment how you look and how you feel, it's a mid-term investment how you look, and it's a long-term investment in your quality of life and your health.
Mm.
And that, that's mental when you really think about it. And like, even if it's like you kind of know that, you're not at your absolute healthiest, even just look around you. Like one of the things that we get a lot, quite a lot, is like, I don't want to be like my dad. I don't want to be like my brother. I don't want to be like my cousin. I've got this friend that struggles, and it's even that aspect. You know, like
Yeah.
Jal was saying, sometimes you need a real wake up moment. But on the flip side too, to really get to where you want, there's like an element of pain, but then there's also an element of aspiration. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm not in pain anymore, where I once was, where I felt like a doormat. But, I absolutely love going and achieving things. Like, I love, like doing ultra marathons, doing physique shows, doing like
Mm.
strength feats, like box at the Burj Khalifa, like all these different things. And it's like, that's a place of aspiration where I want to, push to my absolute potential. So, like,
Mm.
for you, Jal, like, what about that? Like, what do you think on that for, even if it's not like a code
Uh,
red,
yeah,
health where
yeah.
someone's maybe in a good place, but how can we get them to an exceptional place? Talk about that to really push past those plateaus.
I mean, I think firstly that listening to this should be a wake up moment. I said it doesn't have to be a quote unquote dark moment to to really kickstart you and getting into shape and looking after yourself. Use this as that wake up moment. Um, when it comes to like aspirational, it's like, so that's a position that I'm in now myself. You know, everything I want to achieve is based on sort of things I never once thought I could do. So when I see amazing goals, whether it be the marathons, the high boxes and things, like I just want to keep proving to myself like I'm so capable of doing everything. I can do what once upon a time then people I used to watch on television can do. I can perform at athlete levels. Like I think we see we watch people on the telly or we watch athletes and we think, oh, they're such at high levels and we're like, oh, we'll never get there. But then the closer you get to it, you think actually, wait, all it takes is a bit of effort, work, and sort of certainty around what you're doing to actually get to that sort of level. And
Mm,
it's I said it that living off aspiration is amazing because all you're doing is wanting to keep pushing yourself for more and more and more, learning, achieving more, whether it be personal development in regards to health, fitness, or even in regards to mindset and things. It's yeah, it's
yeah,
huge.
like there's like the fear of failure and the fear of like things going bad, but there's also the fear of being stuck. You know,
Yeah,
um, and like even like one thing I think about, as I said, like doing crazy feats. I want to be able to be like proud of myself, and I also want to be able to like wave a standard and a path for like my future family. And
yeah,
the harsh reality is your kids are going to be have role models. Everyone has role models.
yeah.
Are you going to be it? They're either it's going to be you or it's going to be someone else. it's going to be someone else on the internet. It's going to be someone else out there, and it's like, that motivates me. And like, even when we're talking about Jal there, you saying about ex partner and stuff. I remember I heard something. It was like you either date your wife or someone else will. And what
Yeah,
that is savage, but
yeah,
it's like,
but it's
if
true.
you either be that man, that has respect, shows up well, like you're not just giving the leftovers, all those things, like it's massive. And like, the other thing too with like aspiration and stuff is like, driven men need to be driving forward. You need to be having like some purpose, like for yourself. And when you're achieving things and you're getting progress and momentum, and like every year there's something that's like unrecognizable about you, whether it's your physique or whether it's something that you could never thought that you could do. Like for you, Jal, was doing running and stuff. Like when you came onto the academy, like that vibration that you get, it's massive,
Yeah.
from progress and from achievement. And you probably felt it before, but it's like, it's getting it every single day and sort of seeing it. And like, I remember I was playing and we won a cup final. This was years ago. And when I played football and things, and the manager turned around and goes to us, and he said this, guys, some people take drugs for that type of high.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's stuck, that's
Yeah.
stuck like mad. So, it's important. So it is.
It's things to be massively proud of. I remember crossing when I done the first half marathon. I crossed that finish line, and the guy in the mic said, "Here comes Jaleel, who's celebrating losing 110 pounds." And I crossed that finish line, and to be honest, I broke straight into tears. And it was like moments like that where you prove to yourself, like, okay, what is actually capable, rather than just sitting at home watching Netflix every night. You could be doing
Mhm.
something so much more just better and inspirational to others around you as well.
1,000,000%. And like, I kind of want to finish on this point, that like, if you're telling yourself, time, you're telling yourself work, you're telling yourself the kids, all these other things, right? They're all external things. And of course, 100% they're important. But, even if like obviously you see all of our socials and things, you see the hundreds of results, but why not do it for the internal? Why not do it for like, because you want to be the most disciplined pan that you know. You want to be, you always find a way. You always make it work. Like, why not be that guy? And like, if you're that guy, you'll get the world class result we're talking about. You'll get so much more. You'll find a way. So like, if you're listening to this and you're like, I could be doing better, but X, Y, and Z's coming up, think about the internal.
Mm.
Like leave the strategy after, but just make a commitment. Make a
Mhm.
commitment to that, to being the person, and trust me, like the results they'll come in tenfold.
We all know that guy when we're being out of shape. We all know that guy. Maybe we make me see him on, maybe he lives by us or whatever, and we look at him and think, oh, his life is class. He's out doing his run. You see him maybe going to the gym. You see him in shape, wearing whatever he want, maybe driving a nice car, etc. Well, be that man. You know,
And you can.
yeah.
100%. Right, I think that's a very strong point to leave this on, guys. If you can, like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what your biggest takeaway was. And I appreciate you listening.